The empire that drowned in silver, how Spain's wealth became its downfall. 1. The Empire of Endless Sun. In the 16th century, Spain ruled an empire so vast that the sun truly never set upon it. From the Americas to Asia, Spanish ships carried gold, silver, and faith across the globe. It was the first empire to span continents, richer, larger, and more feared than any before. Yet, beneath the gold-plated glory was a fatal illusion: Spain mistook treasure for wealth. So what does that actually mean? It means Spain learned too late that easy money can destroy a nation faster than poverty ever could. Footnote: Spain's global dominance in the 16th century concealed deep economic fragility rooted in dependence on precious metals. 2. The Flood of Silver. From 1500 to 1650, Spain imported more than 180,000 tons of silver and 2,000 tons of gold, more bullion than Europe had mined in the prior 1,000 years. The mountain of Potosi in modern-day Bolivia became both symbol and curse, known as the mountain that eats men. Silver from the Americas poured into Seville, flowed through Europe, and reached as far as China via Manila galleons. Spain's empire was not just global, it was the birth of globalization itself. Footnote: the vast influx of New World silver tied Europe, Asia, and the Americas into a single interdependent global economy. 3. The Price Revolution. But rivers of silver brought a flood Spain couldn't control: inflation. Prices quadrupled between 1500 and 1600. Bread, clothes, and rent soared while wages stood still. The more silver Spain imported, the poorer its people became. Economists later called this the price revolution, the world's first case of global inflation. Money only holds value when scarce. Spain's treasure, once its strength, became poison. Footnote: the oversupply of precious metals caused sustained inflation, eroding real incomes and distorting economic stability. 4. Spending like a king. Instead of investing in production or innovation, Spain spent its fortune on imports, luxuries, and endless wars. Italian, Dutch, and German merchants profited selling goods to Spain, paid for with Spanish silver. Meanwhile, Spanish industries withered. The empire became a consumer economy sustained by conquest. When the treasure fleets stopped, so did prosperity. Footnote: dependence on imported goods and war financing drained Spain's wealth and crippled domestic industry. 5. War and debt, the double bind. The Spanish crown saw itself as defender of Catholicism, funding crusades across Europe, from the Netherlands to the Mediterranean. Treasure funded the Armada against England, wars with France, and the 30 Years' War. But the crown also borrowed heavily against silver not yet mined. When storms, pirates, or misfortune delayed the fleets, Spain defaulted, 4 times in 50 years. The richest empire in the world was bankrupt. Footnote: excessive military expenditure and speculative borrowing led to serial sovereign defaults and financial collapse. 6. Pirates and privateers. Spain's enemies didn't just envy its treasure, they weaponized it. English and Dutch privateers struck at treasure fleets, knowing each captured galleon crippled Spain's credit. Francis Drake returned with loot worth half England's annual revenue. Dutch privateer Piet Hein captured an entire silver fleet in 1628, an economic torpedo to Spain's heart. Rivals reinvested stolen wealth into trade, navies, and banks. Spain's silver bought the seeds of its own defeat. Footnote: maritime raids on Spanish treasure fleets redirected wealth toward rivals who used it to finance industrial and naval expansion. 7. The Hollow Empire. By the 1600s, Spain's empire still glittered on maps but rotted within. Inflation gutted real prosperity. Debt chained the monarchy to foreign bankers. Ordinary Spaniards faced poverty while the crown lived off illusions of grandeur. The empire that once terrified Europe now struggled to pay its soldiers. Wealth had become decoration, the structure beneath was collapsing. Footnote: Spain's apparent power in the 17th century masked systemic decay and fiscal insolvency. 8. Rivals learned the lesson. England, France, and the Netherlands watched closely. They realized gold and silver did not build nations, systems did. The Dutch turned piracy profits into banks and the Amsterdam Stock Exchange. England built colonies that produced goods, tobacco, sugar, cotton, and institutions that multiplied capital. Spain hoarded treasure, its rivals built capitalism. The difference determined who owned the future. Footnote: Northern European powers replaced extractive empires with productive, institution-based economic systems. 9. The modern parallel. Spain's story is an ancient history, it's a mirror. Today's economies chase paper wealth the same way Spain chased silver. Modern treasure fleets are banks, debt markets, and digital money. When they falter, entire economies tremble. Inflation, speculation, and over-reliance on easy credit echo Spain's fatal cycle. The lesson is brutal: treasure is not wealth. Systems, discipline, and productivity are. Footnote: The structural fragilities that doom Spain parallel modern dependence on credit expansion and inflationary policy. 10. The illusion of wealth. Spain's empire died not from invasion but illusion, the belief that abundance equals prosperity. Silver filled its vaults but hollowed its soul. Wealth built on extraction collapses when the flow stops, wealth built on creation endures. Empires that learn the difference inherit the future. Spain, blinded by glitter, never did. Footnote: Sustainable prosperity arises from productive capacity, not transient resource inflows.